real world. Let's get it. Real talk with Carl and Charlene. Real talk for the real world. Let's get it. Real talk with Carl and Charlene. Real talk for the real world. Let's get it.
Good morning, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in for another fly edition of Real Talk with Carl and Charlene. Thank you for joining us. If you're hopping in live, we want you to drop in the comments where you're tuning in from, because I know the comments is going to be blowing up as always. We're a global show, so we enjoy you guys coming back. Let us know your perspective. Let us know how we're doing. Also, chime in on the conversation and the discussion, because we're definitely talking about something that everybody is aware about of today. And for those who tuning in on a hashtag replay, you can't join us right now live. Don't worry. We're kicking it back to your hashtag replay. You also drop in the comments where you're tuning in from. Let us know your perspective. Also join in the discussion, because we do go back, we do engage, because we do want to hear from you as well. But of course, I can't do this wonderful show by myself. I got my hostess with the mostest. Come on, Charlene, kick it in live. What's going on this Thursday?
Hello, everybody. I'm trying to have my ninja fingers going. What's going on?
What's up? What's up? What it be
Yes. Oh
like?
my gosh. Come on, Nancy. You
Comments
got
is
all these
blowing
people
up
coming through.
already. Yes, baby glitch. Yes. Thank you for coming out, Brian Showman. Got to get you on here too, boss, out there. And so I'm waiting for you to come to Jersey to come pick your son up there, Princeton, so we can do the coffee and tea thing, meet up, man. It's good to have you on. Definitely loving all my California fam reaching out. Can't forget my North fam. Will's in the house. Nancy in the house. Of course, Nancy's house. She's on the show with us, right? Yolanda's in the house, getting up early out there in California. We appreciate you. Florence out there in Texas, our difference. We loving you out there as well. Thank you guys for joining in. We talking about a topic today that I think everybody, first and foremost, all of y'all participated in, because all of y'all that showed up at the show. So we talking about something that Gabe, what's up, man? Good to see you, man. Good to see you in the show. We talking about something that's really important. We're going to talk on it from a lot of perspectives, and we got somebody that's on today that really has an awesome perspective, and I've been knowing for quite a while now. And they caught me on the time, her and my man Brian. They caught me on the time when I had COVID and things were really rough. But I'm just telling you how social media can uplift you. Don't believe all the bad things. Yes, they are out there. Things happen, but there are plenty of good things that overshadow the bad things that transpire in social media. But what's up with you, Chicky? What's up?
Man, nothing much. Of course, just making sure that we keep the word out that we have our first summit coming up
Yes, get
September
it in.
24th. We are super excited about that. And we have our two friends joining us, Michelle and Donna. You guys will get to meet them because we are going to have special shows dedicated so you can learn more about them and, of course, about the summit. So tune in. We're going to promote more about that. And our sponsors, I want to thank our sponsors, Russ and Scott and our friend Martin, all of these amazing friends that we have who are sponsoring the show, who believe in the show. And of course, you guys, our viewers, our fam, who keep coming back and supporting us and letting us know we're either on the right track or we're missing something. So we're always happy to do that. And of course, create with you all.
Absolutely. And we got our things going on as well. We talk about our sponsors, but we're excited about the summit. We're excited about the next business moves, next level business moves.com. We want you guys to go register. Registration is open until September 9th. We're going to have you leveling up. We got over 90 years of experience, guys, talking about business. Me, Charlene, and our two cohorts, Michelle and Donna, and we're just going to give it to you on a early Saturday morning. We're going to get it in and get it out. And we also going to give you an opportunity to delve in with us a little bit deeper on that next level VIP dive where you can go in and we'll look at your business and we'll let you know some of the things that can move you forward and make you recession proof. Because I don't know if you've heard, I've heard and Congress heard and the Fed is ready. So you know what I mean? Recession is here. Now you can accept it and you can just wait for them to stamp recession on
Mm-hmm.
your business, or you can be trying to recession proof your business, get yourself to keep going and get your money on while others is laying low trying to cut corners. You know what I mean? Don't mean to disrespect nobody, but we just telling you how it is. But anyway, you guys
So
know how we
let's
do.
get it popping
Let's
because
get it
folks are
going.
ready and we're
They ready
ready
for it.
and we want to understand more about using social media not only to make ourselves aware and visible, but connect
Mhm.
with people without draining ourselves as well. So you want to make sure that you're getting your voice out there, you're being heard. And that's where our new guest is. She's all about that. And she's all about self care. And she said something in the back when we were getting ready for the show, digital self care. So we're going to make sure that Miss Nancy comes on and lets us know at one, why she does what she does, why does she love it so much? And of course, everybody loves Nancy. So, hi, Nancy.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I see you guys in the comments. I was trying to do fast fingers, but I don't know if I'll be able to do that while we're talking because I want to concentrate my attention here with you guys and everyone. So, hello. If I haven't said hello yet, I apologize. I'll get there in replay.
Yes.
Yes. So Nancy, let the folks know, those who don't know you, which is hard to believe, and we always say now, if you don't know Nancy, you're doing LinkedIn wrong. So for those who are doing LinkedIn wrong and they don't know you yet, tell them a little bit about you and what about finding your voice on social media. How did you find that for yourself, and how do you help others do the same?
Absolutely, my pleasure. And what a beautiful way to be seen. Wow. First and foremost, I'm human and beautifully flawed, like the rest of us. I'm susceptible to all of it, just like everyone else. People always ask you to define yourself, and I have a very hard time doing that. I know I am probably not the only one. What I can tell you without a doubt is I'm about making people feel seen, heard, valued, and loved. And that to me is the biggest gift that I can give someone, but in turn they can give me. Like just knowing that they felt that connection and that they matter. That's huge. In terms of bio, we'll run through it really quickly. One of the things I'm super proud of is that I was named one of LinkedIn's top 50 most impactful people last year, and it's an amazing title. It's voted upon by your peers, so to me, even more. It was even more stunning. I really was so shocked to know just how far the reach can be, especially because I like to call it a little bit of a Cinderella story. I had been on LinkedIn less than a year when I was named. I had 2,500 followers when that happened. And I think people get really concerned about their numbers, and they're concerned about the wrong number. Brian Schulman and I always say, the only number you need to worry about is one. Are you reaching one person? Are you right? If you're sharing from a place of you're inspired and a place of shining the light on others, then the likelihood is you are meeting that one number, and that's all that matters. But to let people know that all I did was show up. I knew nothing about LinkedIn. I didn't know if there was a right way or a wrong way. I didn't know about sharing versus posting your own content, video. I just showed up. And so that has been this amazing journey to starting the Chick with the Tool Belt, which is my program. I like to call it a Sherpa program because it's really journeying with clients, whether they be individuals or teams or businesses, to find their own voice, right? Find your voice and use that in a way that's comfortable rather than being this buttoned up persona that we're expected to be. That's not real. It led me to starting the Radiating Real campaign, hashtag Radiating Real, which is near and dear to my heart because it was really my own personal journey of coming onto LinkedIn. And I always preface my story with, I know it's hard to receive. Hi, Russ Hedge. It's really hard to receive, but I'm grateful for all of it because it's made me who I am today. And, it's really something when you can say, I like who I am today and have gratitude for all of it. But I came onto LinkedIn, and about a week after really becoming active, I was on a telethon for the XXO Connect platform, which is Jason Leibowitz. And his thing is connection over convenience. Really, let's have that true, open, honest connection. And I was talking about childhood trauma and childhood trauma and childhood trauma. And I realized mid-sentence, like, Nancy, you're part of the problem. If you won't say it, how can you expect anyone else to talk about it? And without thinking, without a plan, without whatever the repercussions were going to be, I talked about how I had been sexually abused by my grandfather till I was 16 years old. And at that point, I had no idea there were laws against it, but law enforcement and the courts got involved, and it was just unleashed. The secret that I had so carefully protected as if my life depended on it, was now out there for what felt like for everyone, but it was really my family, and how that led to subsequent starting, like the beginning of an eating disorder. I ended up confronting my grandfather when I was 20 years old, dropping out of college. And it's taken me years to say I dropped out of college, not that I left or I took a break. No, I dropped out. Had my first major depressive episode. I went home and was in bed all the time. I got out only to go to therapy 3 times a week and an additional time for groups. And those were individual. So here I am telling this story. And then, realizing while I had talked about it in my personal life with people face to face that I could see, I had never given my story its own breath. They'd never, set it free to have legs of its own and go reach whoever it needed to reach, even if they weren't right in front of me. And I have chills thinking about it, because in that moment, I discovered, even though it was a small bit that I was holding back and not telling it publicly, how heavy that was, and how that allowed me, oh, there she is. It wouldn't be alive without her. It allowed me to take my mask off, really truly take my mask off for the first time. And that's when I committed to being 100% committed to being 100% me 100% of the time. And hashtag radiating real was really sharing that with others and giving them permission to show up as they are and receive that unconditional love and acceptance that we all deserve. It's really bare minimum is what I say, right? Bare minimum is that we be accepted and loved unconditionally by the people in our lives. And so that's sort of the condensed version of it. I showed up on Brian Schulman's show, much like the Rev here, as we call him on the show. So shout out Saturday and What's Good Wednesday. I showed up and I was watching at first, and then I came into the green room and I went on live, and then would come off the show and stay in the green room the whole time. And basically, as the story goes, if you asked Tim and Brian, I just never went away. And fast forward to that commitment to showing up for others and creating that space. And I am now the Chief Engagement Officer for Voice Your Vibe. I am about to do my second keynote. Tim Stone is having his first in-person event for Perspective, showing up perspectives on cancer. Sorry, Tim. And, I was surprised because I don't have, thankfully, an intimate connection with cancer like a lot of people do. And so when he asked, I was like, well, are you sure? I don't have that connection. And he said, yeah, I want you to talk about radiating real and encouraging people to share their story like you did, like you helped me do, because there's so much power. There's so much power and impact and importance in each of our stories, because our stories reach people. Stories are part of our community. Think about before we were writing things down, we were telling stories, and in those stories, they reach people when they need to hear them, and they make people feel less alone. And that's the place which I love about what you guys are doing, these real talks, the vulnerability is that's where we connect with people. Like, you can't really connect with people unless you're willing to get vulnerable together, right? It can't be one-sided. And I love safe space, but I'm a proponent of brave space. Safe space means I'm going to tell you what's going on with me, and you're all going to be there to support me. Brave space means, no, we're all going to enter this space together. Radiating real isn't cracking open your chest and telling everybody everything, because that's not real. And people get a little nervous because they confuse private with personal. This is about getting personal. Just even when we ask people to tell us where you're tuning in from, you've shared a little bit of personal information. Somebody's go, oh my gosh, I'm from there. Oh my gosh, my parents live there. If you're in the comments now, if you want to tell us your favorite ice cream flavor, your favorite book, your favorite, place to go in the summer, or something that you do to relax you, that's a place for us to connect. And it doesn't have to be personal. It doesn't have to be your biggest secrets. And I think that's the beauty of it. There's so much power in connecting ourselves. And I'm going to stop talking because I haven't taken a breath. And I'm sure there's things you want to ask me. And yes, I do want to get into digital self-care. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. I've had people say the most humbling things about me, reflect back to me in ways that just explode my heart, how I'm received. And I think that's a big piece of why I love what I do, is that I know that what I'm doing makes a difference to someone else. And that's a privilege.
Yeah, it's excuse me, I'm all choked up. It's amazing the things that you have not only accomplished in the essence of the relationships that you've built, right? They're truly amazing, and I'm sure Charlene can definitely echo that as well. Blossoming, and this is why just vulnerability to me is just what it is, right? And it's the aspect, and it's the engagement, and it's the embracement of however you want to do it. It's so personal, and it's such a personal thing that I just really just get beside myself when people say don't do it. It's an aspect to you that is responsible for you, it's available to you, and empowers you regardless of all the other circumstances around it, and to build these relationships and have this. And the biggest thing about finding your voice through social media, I think all of us have in this course of this pandemic piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think, I don't think it's anyone, even if you were before, even you were anti social media because of some of the dark dundrum that you had even heard about or experienced in your own right. I think there became a new blossoming of what social media should really be in the essence of what it is. And I think the cultivation of the pandemic and us embracing each other's in times of crisis, because that's really when we uplift each other, right? But it should be an all around circumstance that we uplifting each other always. And I think we've kind of taught ourselves that in social media, not so much with the crisis of what the pandemic brought, but how are you doing? How is your mental health? How is
Mm-hmm.
your family? How is
And
how
being
is your
comfortable
time?
answering honestly, right? And us being able to
Yes,
kind of say, good, fine, like say what's really happening, because people really care when they ask.
they really do. And I think we even stop into, I think me and Charlene talks about this a lot. When somebody say, how's you doing? And it's not a run on. We actually stop in to hear the
Mm-hmm.
response on how you're doing. I want to know that now. It's not just a conversational piece. When you thought about it, and I know that you talk about, both of us had our adventures, I guess. I didn't stay on. Uh, we're right sober now, but we had our experiences on there. How was that a transitional moment for you? Being it, because I've never been on a show where somebody say drop the link and you going live. I have been
Right,
doing my
right.
shows for quite a while before I got on you guys' show. And I said hello to him, and next thing you know, he dropped a link talking about join me backstage. I was like, what? Backstage?
Yeah.
What? I, how was that transitional or pivotal to you in that point from embracing the social media aspect and what the power that it held?
Absolutely. I mean, I have my own show, Connected Human Conversations. Much like you, I invite guests. I was doing the Island of Misfit Toys at the time, and there was
Yes.
a group of us, right? Remember,
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
didn't open the link to anyone. And there's something that's nerve wracking because you never know what you're going to get. But the
Mhm.
reality is, we always get the best of people. And I think
Yeah.
about like, I met you, Carl, at
Mhm.
one of your most vulnerable moments, right?
Yes, it
When
was.
else would you start with, like, I've been stuck here with COVID. I haven't been able to live stream. I feel terrible. I feel disconnected. If I asked you on the street, like if we met at a cocktail party, a LinkedIn
Mhm.
Live local kind of thing, and said, hey, how are you? What's the chances we lead with our heart? It's very slim, and I hope that has changed. I agree with you. I hope that has changed, and I hope that when we ask people how are you and they say fine, we stop and say, um, how are you really? Like, is there anything you want to share or need support with, kind of thing? Like really, really follow up, knowing that we're all living life, and we all know that it's ugly, snotty, and unsexy at times. So if we're all okay all the time, well, we're not being real honest. And that's one of the beauties of the show, like you said, for having people all over the world be brave. right? You jump in and you don't, you can see our structure, it's going to happen. But for many people, it's their first time live, and giving them that opportunity to do it in such a supported way, for them to come on and really see their personality shine, to see them be comfortable being themselves. In the pandemic, we were in our living rooms, cats walking by, kids screaming. We all kind of came to a similar level. It didn't matter if you were the CEO or the rep that was trying to sell something. You were probably on half dressed, and the bottom half was still in your pajamas. We were all in a similar state that really allowed us to reach one another. And that's sort of what the beauty of the show continues. We did it. Anne, I love you too. Okay, I'm trying not to get distracted. But we all did it, and that's sort of what the show continues to do. Is it creates this really lovely, and Brian Shulman is fierce about maintaining it and showing up week after week, every Wednesday 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, every Saturday 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it continues to hold that space where we show up real. Like, it doesn't matter where you're tuning in from. It doesn't matter, hey, Saturday we tell you to come on in your pajamas. We actually put it on the table, like, don't get dressed, come on, join us in your pajamas.
And your cereal, your favorite cereal.
Yes, and your favorite cereal, and tell us your favorite Saturday morning cartoons when you were growing
Yes.
up. Let's go fun. Let's go back to play. Let's go back to light, because life can be heavy. And the engagement piece is people come on. And one of the things I love about LinkedIn and the shows is you meet people right where they are in that moment. And that's a powerful thing. Like, wherever they are, whether they're coming on to celebrate or just share themselves with the world, or share like you did, like, I'm just going through it here, right? And what it has created is this amazing, it gives me chills, this positive vibe tribe, as we call them, that show up for one another, for all of it. Like, truly, come rain or shine, they'll be there. But it's on and off platform. So what it did for me, if I'm completely honest, is it helped me find a community I was missing and a family I didn't know I had. I was that isolated person during the pandemic. I live alone with 2 cats. I was feeling it. And so I could show up and be with people, really be with people. And just this amazing opportunity. And we would social distance, and we would laugh and use filters and cry. There's times we cry. We've talked about burnout. We've talked about people, losing loved ones or feeling lost and all of that kind of stuff. It's part of life, and we welcome that as well. And so to me, meeting people where they're at, being comfortable, like, with the discomfort, and just being able to sit and be with people. Often the best thing that we can do as people, as show hosts, as, community members, is just allow people to be. People will come on and be cheerful, and it's like, take your time. Like, we can be in this together. You're not alone. And so all of that has transformed how I show up on social media. I mean, I was already radiating real and doing all of that, but I realized that the impact each and every one of us has is far greater than we think. And showing up is different for everyone. People think they're not creators. Guess what? If you're in the comments today, you're a creator, you're engaging, you're connecting. That's it, right? Showing up is the key to it all. From showing up, had reflected back to me things that I had always thought were just me were actually skills and ways that I was helping other people. And it was sort of mind-blowing, and it seems strange to say that, like, it would be like, wow, actually, I help people. I'm that eat an elephant person. Like, tell me what's going on, and I can show you one step at a time how we're going to get through this. I can walk us through, give you time to discover it yourself. Again, like I said, with the chick with the tool belt, it's really all about getting back to who you are. Oh, see, Carla, there you go. Beautiful. And now we know, right? And anytime you're feeling lonely, you have places to be and people to be with. You can message me anytime. Our shows are open. I know these guys are here regularly. And that's the thing, right? LinkedIn, social media, these opportunities to be live and engage in real time. That's huge. Social media, and knowing that you can show up at a certain time every week and not be alone, feel connected. There's just so much power here that I think people underestimated before. It was a tool of necessity. Like, oh, I can't be at a meeting, maybe I'll Zoom in. Like I can't afford to miss it, as opposed to a tool of, I don't want to call it luxury, because I think it's so needed. Our connection to one another is crucial to our happiness. And we were talking about digital self-care, and I experienced burnout. I went through it, and I know what it's like. And I tips for digital self-care. Actually, we'll be talking a little bit about this on Monday, 100 Days Live with Sonia, and the importance of self-care, but digital self-care. Like I hear people talk about burnout. I don't necessarily hear people talk about like the digital self-care. Right? We have the self-care that's like, okay, read a book, go for a walk. For me, it's do nothing. It's get in my pajamas, put on my bathrobe, sit on the couch with a book and two cats. I totally morph into the role of that crazy cat lady that I love to be. Listen, but digital self-care, there is wisdom to stepping away. And we were all talking about how there's something really glorious about stepping away from it and unleashing yourself, because it's not just social media. In our society today, we are on a leash at all times, right?
Yes.
Whether it be here or on your wrist or whatever it is. And the expectation we have for one another, which puts a lot of pressure on each of us without even meaning to necessarily, is that you're available 24/7. I text you and you don't text me back. I know you have your phone. I email you. You don't need, oh, come on. I know you got, like, as if, work boundaries and weren't blurred enough with, what our jobs are these days. The hours of operation, having hours of operation are huge. Know when you're open and closed to other people. I have my phone goes to silent after a certain amount of time, and I try to keep, other than really being live, my social media to business hours. That's part of my self-care. And stepping away is valuable if you allow yourself to come back without the pressure. Oh, thank you. That's so kind. Anytime. Without the pressure of having to catch up. Like, that's not digital self-care. You step away, and the whole time you're away, you're just thinking everything I'm missing, and I get back, we know one another's hearts. If you don't catch everything, it's okay, because you do show up, and you show up honestly and real and vulnerable, then people know you. They know you're not ignoring them. They don't, it's not this thing where it's like, oh, you did, I did, you did. It's not, that's not real. Real is I was buried under a pile and didn't check for 3 days, and I just can't possibly move forward and look back at the same time. And one of the things I like to say is everything's already happened. We're just catching up. So the only way to catch up is keep moving forward, keep reminding yourself that. Now, I do feel that social media in and of itself can be great digital self-care, like we were talking about. If you show up real and ask for help, tell people you're struggling, let them know what's going on, connect with others on a real level. People notice when you're not there, and they reach out and say, hey, are you okay? You're communicating differently. You're showing up differently. There's a tremendous amount of support available to each and every one of us if we're willing to be real, be us, radiate real, show up vulnerably. Let our brands be us, because that's really what it is. We are our brand. There's no separate. You can't act one way and then, deliver differently anymore. Business doesn't work like that. We're people. We've seen each other. We've seen the inside of each other's homes. You don't get to just, like, oh, here's my spiel, and then that's not who you are, right? That's not it's not in line with who you truly are as a human. So all of this to say that the question is, why do I love it? How did it change? It's completely transformed. Listen, I'm a speech language pathologist of 20 plus years. I have a private practice. I've worked in the schools, and that's what I thought I was. When I came on to LinkedIn specifically LinkedIn, there's something magical about LinkedIn. I truly believe, because we meet each other right where we are. I found my passion and I found my purpose, right? Which is always been to help others, but to really do it in a way that was different than the way I've been doing it. I'm a speech pathologist. I will continue to be a speech pathologist probably for many years because I love it. But I also specialize in social cognition, which I now bring, right? And I bring to my lives, I bring to my posts, I bring to my Sherpa coaching, right? That's social cognition. You're thinking about how we are as beings together, how we interact, being able to read, situations. How do you want to be seen? And finding your voice that matches that, and on some level, being brave. Most people are afraid. That's what I hear over and over. They're afraid. And what I remind people is you can be fearful and powerful at the same time. And
Yeah.
every obstacle we overcome becomes our superpower. And we're all superheroes because we all overcome.
I
Yeah.
love that. Because I wanted to ask because even when you're on social media and you're feeling that guilt that now, okay, I need to take a break from me. What's a way that we can combat that more? Because a lot of times we do feel that way. You're building
Mhm.
relationships and you get exhausted. It becomes exhausting because I know for me, I can feel energy leaving and I get
Mhm.
exhausted. And I'm like, okay, why is that? Because a lot of times it's also a mental thing for you. You have to think through a lot of the activities that you're doing, what's worth your time at that moment, and you don't want to feel bad to tell someone you can't do it because you don't want them to feel like they're not worth it, but they just not in the cards for that time because your bandwidth is done. How can we still be connected but take a step back for ourselves?
Well, I think importantly is looking where your energy is leaking, right? Really look at where your energy is leaking. And I do this with clients and they, roll their eyes at me at first, but it's like, I want you to actually keep track of your day, right? Um, like how much time are you spending on each thing? And before you start your day, plan out your day and tell me, okay, well, I spend 20 minutes in the morning, catching up on my social media. And then actually see how much time, because we tend to leak time, right? And we think we're all prioritized, but then something grabs our attention. And if you're like me, you're down a million different paths. The day is halfway gone and you haven't started thing one. The other thing I want to encourage people to do is look at your list. And this is great wisdom from Bruce Carnahan. If you don't know the guy in the blue shirt, is we have a to-do list. What can we do? What more can we do, right? What else can we do? What do you not have to be doing? What do you really not have to be doing? It all feels like priority. It all feels so important. But if you look at it, like, what is it that I don't have to be doing? And reminding yourself that the least selfish thing you can do is have boundaries, say no, and take care of yourself. Because once we're depleted, we can't give. And so for me, no, I can't do everything. And that I'm susceptible to all of it. I still struggle with it. I'm completely honest about it. I feel that moment of, oh my gosh, I didn't. But again, if you're showing up honestly, people know you. For me, often it's just a post saying, hey, you guys, thank you so much for the space. I was taking a break. I was able to see some of what was out there, and just know that my heart appreciates it all, even if you're not hearing from me right now. Most people can relate to feeling overwhelmed. Most people can relate to feeling guilty that we're not measuring up to that internal report card in our heads. And you'd be surprised how much permission you get from your community that wouldn't want you to do all of that and burn yourself out. And I think, it's new, it's exciting. There's so much going on that we're drawn to it, and it feeds us in one way. But the other thing is, notice, like, when you're done, are you feeling exhausted? Like, have you gotten enough back from it that you can afford to give to it? And maybe it's changing how you show up. I did that. Let's see, I had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5 hours of live streaming at one point. And it was I was completely burnt out. It was too much. And so I changed how I was showing up. Again, I switched the schedules. I talked to Brian Schulman. One of our shows was 4 hours long. I didn't want to not do it. I'm recovering. Yes, 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 yes. It's an important part for all of us to have boundaries. I hope, Will, that you have business operating hours, and that your executive board is always checking in to make sure that you're running efficiently and holding those boundaries, because those are important. But I totally see this. I forgot where I was going with the other thing I was talking about. Showing up, Brian Schulman, stepping away. So I didn't want to step away from the show because it did feed me, but we were able to compromise and say, okay, let's do 2 hours. Let's do 2 hours for now, those kinds of things. And I think looking at, and this is a lot of where I do my coaching, where is that guilt coming from? Because are you really disappointing other people, or do you feel like, is that really yours that you're putting on others? Because most people in our lives would not want us to stretch ourselves so thin that we are, just if you sat still long enough, you'd fall over, or mentally you can't take one more thing on. So often that guilt comes from within and not outside of us, and to look at where that came from. A lot of us are taught that, right? People pleasers as we grow. A lot of us hold ourselves to a ridiculous standard that we would never hold anyone we love to, ever. If you think about it, really, the things that you expect of yourself and the ways you will beat yourself up when you fall short, you would never do that to anyone else in your life that you love. So why do it to yourself? And a lot of it is fear. And I experienced this. I was afraid that I was finally getting momentum, that if I stepped away, people would forget about me. Fear of what? Like our fear of not being seen, not being heard, not being valued, not being loved, not being remembered. That's a very real thing. And when we can pull away some of those layers and really accept what people are saying to us, one of the things that I tell myself all the time, and I remind friends and clients, I ask myself, are you smarter than everyone you know, Nancy Barrows? I must almost call myself Nancy Deborah, which I think Brian Schulman may be one of the only people who calls me that. But are you smarter than everyone you know? Because if everyone else is telling you whatever it is, let's say, I feel like I'm not showing up enough, and everyone's saying you're making a difference and I love what you're doing. Am I smarter than all the people I know to say, nope, no, I'm not? When I look in the mirror and I want to beat myself up, do I spend time with people that aren't nice to me? No, I walk away from the mirror. You have to have some checkpoint in your head. And I find other people to be helpful. One of the activities that I ask clients to do is ask 3 to 5 people who love you unconditionally to write you an email. Get it in writing, because it's always important to have something to revisit. Why do they love you? Why are you friends? What do you bring to their life? And those moments when you're telling yourself, if you don't show up, right, you have to feel guilty because you're not getting back to people. Read those. And inevitably, it brings people to tears, because we don't allow ourselves to see ourselves through other people's eyes the way they see us. And that's where that thing comes in. Nancy, are you smarter than everyone you know? Or maybe these 5 people who love you and would not lie to you, you need to listen to them. And so for guilt, I think it's exploring where it's at, knowing that if you've got good connections, just like in life, we have those friends, we walk away, we haven't texted them, we haven't talked to them, it's been a while, life gets crazy, and you pick up the phone or you text them and you pick up right where you, yes, an accountability partner is a very important thing. And most of us want to be accountable to ourselves, and many of us can do that. But I think it's always a great thing to have someone that you check in with. That's always helpful. Thank you, Yolanda, for bringing that up. And of course, I lost my train of thought again, because that's who I am. But you walk away from friends and you can pick up right where you left off, right? It happens all the time to all of us in our lives. Why is social media any different? Why are those friends any different, that we can't take a break, come back, and pick up right where we left off?
Yeah, you you unwrapped a lot on that, and even thinking about what you were saying about asking people. I do that from time to time. I make that as a post, and I definitely would applaud everyone to do that, because I want to know what I'm adding, and this is just really a self-evaluation of me and the things that I could be better, because the evaluations have to start with us. A lot of times we look on the outward to try to evaluate others, right? See what they're not doing or what they can be better at. And I don't take that mantra. I take, what can I be better at? How could I have better said that? How could I better have interacted with? How could I be a better person, husband, dad, father? How could I be those kind of things? And I oftentimes put that in a post. I do it, like, try to do it quarterly. Sometimes it gets away from me, but I just ask my LinkedIn family, what have I been to you and being in your network? Let it go in the comments. And it's overall, because we have these pressures and life has put these pressures on us. And it was before the pandemic piece, and it was before we have to be this. Like we're known to be accountable. We strive for that accountability, not only to ourselves, but to be people pleasers in some form or fashion. We got to get back to those who contact us now. Like you're saying, the chain, the ball and chain. You look about your phone, and now everybody knows like these things are like, I know you got your phone. You don't go nowhere without your phone, right? So then there's this extra added pressure of accountability to do that. And then it's the morality piece of social media in general, what we think about. The C word that I love to use, the comparisons, how those
Mm,
are draining, how I'm seeing the success and the pile-ons. And though a lot of times we subconsciously know that things aren't what they are, but emotionally, physically, drainingly, we still compete with those things because they're a vision that we see. And there's just so much that social media has become, and I know for me, for instance, I'm just speaking for me, it had been a drain. I didn't want to be involved, but I thank you for the past 3 years of really opening my eyes to what a great thing we have here. How can we have a show such as you have and I have and Charlene and us have, right? And we have people responding from all over the globe in all walks of life, all industries, all ethnicities, all. I mean, it's just an amazing feeling, and just to have that kind of, voice your vibe is definitely it. Just to kind of have that
mhm.
vibe and be able to touch people in ways that we can through social media is avant-garde to me now, and I can't see it any other way. I can't see
Right,
it any
right.
other.
And that's
And
the
we're
thing.
also following people who are telling us to do things in a certain way.
Mhm.
Especially if you're trying to start a business or run a
Yes,
business, you're always listening to people who telling you how to use social media, which is not always conducive to how you live as a person. So I think that's also something we struggle with.
Right. Understand who you are compared to who everybody else is the best you can,
absolutely.
right? Oh, Peter Clark, thank you. Another wonder, like so many wonderful humans here. You guys, if you're not connected, go get connected. And please reach out to me, send a connect with a little note saying that you saw me here. Would love, I'm always looking
And
to
chat in the comments. We're loving that.
yeah,
We're loving it. We
yeah,
love
and
you.
you talk to each other, find out about each other. A couple of things is I'm a little bit wary of social media, and I look at social media differently, of course. That people are talking about happy success, great, 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 and they never show any other side of it. I love people who post positive content that's grounded in reality. Like if you're struggling right now, here's something positive. Here's a mantra. But understanding that, like really looking at it differently. And I have now become, I used to hate the term curated content because it always meant curating, right? Unicorns and rainbows and, all that good stuff, falling stars and wishes come true. But we have the power to create curated content that's real. And that's one of my challenges to everyone out there using social media, right? Create curated content that's real. Show all sides of it. Again, ugly, snotty, unsexy. We're living life. The cat decided to puke this morning while I was getting ready for the show. And of course, it was on the carpet. Even though there's hardwood all over the place, it's on the. This is life. You show these things, right? And hopefully, we are getting a little bit more critical about who we are receiving information from. And again, if you're always everything's fine, it takes me a second to go,
Stay
okay,
away from me. Just stay away from me.
right, right. Is this the person I'm going to compare myself to? Is this really, I like people who are flawed because we all are. And if you've gotten to a point where you can share your flaws, even if you're afraid, even if it's awkward, even if it's uncomfortable, you're becoming or are real. It's like the quote from the Velveteen Rabbit, and I'm going to get it wrong, but like by the time you become, like all your fur is gone, your eyes are out, right? Because you've lived a life, and living life leaves scars, but living life leaves us with experience to share with others, ways to help. Like for me in my journey, it's been so powerful and comforting to know there's someone a step ahead of me that can help me and guide me, and there's someone behind me who's looking to me, right? Who's looking to me as one of their sources of either inspiration or wisdom or whatever it may be that they need in that moment. Those things are so important. I'm sorry, I'm reading comments and now I'm lost. Yes, flaws are beautiful. And truly, again, I am not a perfect human. I will eat cookies and milk for dinner because I don't want to cook. Listen, I have worn the outfit from the day before. I have, knowing that I'm not going to see the same people the next day. Like, we all have to be able to live, and we do not and should not be apologizing for being human or living life. Those are two really important things. No apologies for being human, and no apologies for living life. That's I those two things are so important to me that every time someone apologizes to me, I actually say no apologies for being human or living life. And I'm sure when you're on the show or listen to our show, you hear me say it. I don't accept those. Those are not things to apologize for.
Yeah, like they used to tell my grandma used to tell me in church, and when I was growing up, going to church with her, and everybody would be getting on my nerves, and I'd be like, I can't stand this church, and she'd say, "Boy, it ain't no perfect church. Hey, these people ain't perfect, but this is where we go, and this is how we have to get ourselves." Yes, I put in there flaws are beautiful because people have to understand that for themselves, and this is
Well,
a coming of, I won't say age kind of thing, but it's a coming of being and embracing who you truly are. And I think us as a society have I don't know if we've forgotten, I don't know if we really truly have, or if we truly know how to embrace who we truly are, because our difference is our beauty. Our
yes,
difference is what makes us beautiful. And until we embrace that ourselves, we'll never know how much power that we're not having hold of, for the simple
right.
fact we're letting it be delegated by others who don't control us really. So your flaws are beautiful.
Our uniqueness makes us different, and
Hmm.
yet there's so much that makes us the same, right?
Yes, we're parallel in a lot of ways.
And I remember being on Elizabeth Ndungo's show a while back, and she's the Kindness Incorporator. And yes, she is. Find her, you guys. She's wonderful. And her saying, like, has your kindness ever been taken advantage of, or have people that kind of thing? And I said, I'm sure people take it as weakness, but when I see people who have a hard time accepting kindness, it makes me realize, and this is sort of like no church is perfect, right? That those are the people who need our kindness most, because they probably
Yes.
have not really experienced kindness for kindness sake, with no strings attached, just someone truly being kind to you and you know sharing without any expectation of receiving. And so people who are that bristles them or scares them, kind of, to me, if you have a hard time accepting it, I need to give more. I need to flood you with this until you believe it really exists.
Yeah.
And the thing about being real, especially from the social media standpoint, finding your voice isn't always easy. So, with that being said, what have you, one thing that you've noticed that people struggle with as they're trying to be real, they're trying to be authentic with others, because that's been the catchphrase of a lifetime at this
Mhm.
point. But then not feel so not feel like they have to record every single instance, because sometimes I just want to enjoy a beautiful moment. I want to enjoy a beautiful event and not post it somewhere and not feel like, oh, if you don't see me in out and about in the world, I don't have a life. Like, what's what's been like the one thing that you could ever share with us, that it's okay to do it this way
Right.
and still look like you have a life.
Right, exactly, and still actually maintain a life. So the
Yes.
first thing is that just because it isn't posted doesn't mean it didn't happen, right?
Simple as that,
That's,
right?
because it's not posted didn't mean it didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
And part of our well-being is being present in the moment,
Absolutely.
what we're doing and who we're with, and that's so important, that we value that. And so people are afraid to not, you know, and to not post everything, because then people are going to think certain things about me. Yes, find the balance. Well, guess what? When you post everything, people think things about you too, right? Like we've got that catch 22, both sides of the, oh, she posts everything. That's her meal, and then she went there. the reality is we all have to be comfortable with the amount we put out there, and we have to be mindful of maintaining our presence in the moment in our daily lives. And so fear is always the thing that comes up for people. I'm afraid that people are going to judge me. I'm afraid that, they're going to judge me, whether it be professionally or personally or whatever piece. If I put myself out there, then people are going to have, and here's the thing, and I tell clients this all the time, we all have thoughts about each other. Plain and simple. If I ask you who is the best cook in your community, your network, right? You know someone. Now, we have thoughts about people. It doesn't mean they all have to be so judgmental. Like, that's the thing. Take out that judgment, get that curiosity, give people credit for what they do, and don't be slighting them for what they don't do. So if you're having trouble finding your voice and putting yourself out there, again, exploring that fear and doing it a little at a time, right? You don't have to put yourself all out there at once. Do a post that sort of puts your toe in the water and tell about, figure out, and this is one of the things Brian Schulman has taught me, what are 5 things you love? Post something about one of those 5 things. You're going to find people with similar interests. You've already got a connection. Now, as far as the posting everything, if you are not willing to post everything,
Don't do
right?
it.
You don't, right? You can't, you don't just, this is that curated content thing. That's it, right? Then don't post everything. I am going to assume that you eat, right? I'm going to assume that you leave your house, that, you have experiences, you have friends, you have family. And if we all give each other that grace, right? How beautiful. And again, just because you didn't post it doesn't mean it didn't happen. So post what inspires you. Like if you're going and you're going, oh, I have to post something. I have to post. Don't post it. Don't do it. Stop yourself. Seriously, don't, like, it's please, because if it inspires you, that comes through. That energy comes through and it will inspire someone else. If it's out of obligation, as humans, we feel that. We see that. And that makes you, even if you're trying to be genuine, feel very disingenuous because you're not feeling it in that moment. It's not something you truly want to share. So keep in mind, hi, everybody say hi. I got you, Mimi, the live stream kitty. Here, I'll try and
Live
there she
stream
is.
hitting. And people feel that too,
Live
Nancy.
stream kitty. Yes.
Nancy, people feel that too. They feel it too. A lot of times I think we're kind of like on the auspices of thinking that it's on the screen or it's posted. Like people could feel through the screens and posting.
Yeah.
They can even read the terminology of which you posted it or which you read
Mhm.
it.
Did he freeze
If
on
you're
us?
using if you're using your true voice, when you're posting something that isn't genuine, little changes, like Carl is saying, like you feel them, you read through it. And yes, Will, that's it. If we're not feeling it, don't post it. Please stop yourself and give yourself that permission to not post it. Come back, Carl. Come back. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Back in.
Trying to see what's going on. Okay.
I know. And welcome to live stream. Hey, this is real. Here you go. Like this is how it works. If you're thinking about live streaming and you want it to go perfectly without any mistakes, don't live stream.
No
Don't
such
live
thing.
stream. Yes, no such thing. And sometimes there you are. Sometimes the mistakes, quote unquote, he's back, are the best part, right? When this happens and someone's watching and they're worried that somebody's going to freeze on their show and they see like, oh, it happened, no big deal, kept going. The world didn't fall apart. Nobody hates us. We can keep going. My thing is the only mistake you make is the one you make because you're afraid of making a mistake. Like it's the one you don't make, right? It's the mistake. The only mistake you make is the one mistake you don't make because you're afraid of making a mistake.
Now those bars right there. Let's add some music. Let's get that bars going up. That's a
And
rap
also,
verse.
I also feel like when you are such an a race to be with everyone else, follow the trends and everything like that, and you feel it. You feel like, look, this is just not me. I'm not ready. It's not time. It's not that you're scared. It's just if the energy isn't there, it won't be there. No matter how much you fake it, and we all know when you fake the hi, hey, and your energy is off, and you're like, something's off with you. So
Totally.
to be consistent, it's like be comfortable with who you are, and if you're not feeling it, like we've already mentioned earlier, if you're not feeling something, it's okay to say you're not feeling it.
Right.
It's okay to say you're not feeling it.
I posted about my depression. There's a picture of me out there in like finally getting myself to get dressed and go do some laundry. And I'm wearing, gosh, I decided I was going to put on a clean dress. Now I still have my pajamas underneath the whole thing, right? But like it was one, and I shared it because that was my day. Like it took a lot of effort to get there. And I know I wasn't the only person that day or on any given day that feels that way. And if you think about trying to keep up with everything is just, oh, cat fur, is just impossible, first of all. And think about the latest like fashion craze. Do you always jump on that, or I'm going to feel a little bit ridiculous, right? When I put on whatever, like, I don't know, whatever it would be for me. And I don't even know what's in fashion now, quite frankly. I finally got into a place where I know what makes me feel comfortable. I know it, where I've got to be in the skin in these clothes all day, but are the latest hairstyle. You would not just, when bobs come back, are we all just going to chop our hair off? Probably not. Because it doesn't suit us and it's not comfortable. I mean, Carl, you might go for it because I think you'd look great in a bob. But
yeah, I think you're there first.
Yeah, we don't like we somehow keep social media to a different standard than anything else in our lives. I wouldn't let, most of us wouldn't let someone pick out what we're going to eat every day or what we're going to wear every day or how we're going to wear our hair or where we spend time, but we'll allow social media to influence us exactly in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Without question, that's what it's a hard time. It's a hard thing for me is where people do things and don't question it. They don't even say, is this legit? Would it work for me? Or is this something that I like? And like Sheree said, if you see a trend, it's okay to switch it up. Or it's okay not to do the trend, but make a trend of your own. That I think that's another thing, because it's harder to create the trend than it is to follow it.
Yeah.
A friend of mine told me that following trends kills.
Start working on that.
Let's make the trend that we're radiating real and we're being ourselves and we're not holding ourselves to ridiculous standards and we're not trying to be anyone else. Just beautifully being ourselves. Like I'm beautifully being me.
I love that.
That's what I can do. That's what I'm an expert at. Truly, I'm expert at beautifully being me.
That's the only job we have. That's the only job that we're really good at, being us. And if we embrace being us,
that has a huge impact.
Yes.
It's not. It's as my mother would say, that's not nothing.
So as we
got all
wrapping
the
up,
here today.
Yes, as we're wrapping up this amazing show, because Nancy, we love part twos. So I think this is something that people need to learn, and we talked about this, Carl and I, that we're trying to have people not only take action but also focus on the self-care part. And I love that you said digital self-care. So I would love to have you back on and us just trying to cultivate that part of the conversation a little more. But please let folks know once again, where can they find you? Of course, the keynote, and how can they connect with you or even work with you?
Absolutely. So I know that there's a scroller going by, that LinkedIn is really my home. I love it. And you can DM me there, comment on my post, whatever. I always ask people, when you send a DM, and this is for anyone, a connect request, please put a note with it. Put a note with it. You want to talk about engaging and connecting? Put a note with it. One of the things that I cringe at every time is when someone starts with a sale or telling me what they do. I could read you my bio that tells you nothing about who I am. I don't want to know what you do. I want to know more about who you are. So send me a note. Send me a challenge, man. Go for it. You can sign up at calendly.com/Nancy Barrows. I love connecting and talking to new people. As you can tell, I have no problem talking because I'm a public school educator. It's a little bit elusive to find. Thank you, John. I'm excited too, to find me on different platforms because I changed my name. So Facebook, it's Nancy Debra, Debra. And then on, on Instagram, it's vibing_with_Nancy_Debra, mouthful. You can check out my link tree and you'll get all of these, which is going across the screen. If all else fails, smoke signals or contacting one of these two people, because they know how to get a hold of me, would be great. And I thank you for inviting me back. This is a topic, obviously, I'm passionate about, both personally, professionally. I've experienced it, I've gone through it. I am always happy to be able to help others with, yes, no more pitch slaps. I saw that. Help others with, where I've been. Thank you. And making, like, our stories are all bigger than us. That was always my thing. Even with my abuse and everything I went through, I always knew that my story was bigger than me. And it's true for all of our stories. So to make things easy, we have this fun business card, which I always forget and finally remembered, for Brian Shulman and I. And on the back here, we have this handy dandy. Let's see if I can get it so people can scan.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Where are you?
Oh, the barcode. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
that little QR
That's
code.
nice. Yeah.
There you go.
I know Reverend's mind is rolling right now.
Yeah, because my mind is rolling now. You already know.
Isn't that
Brian
so
Shulman.
cool?
Hey, put it
And
up there. We
then-
gotta have voice your vibes on Real Talk Live. We gotta have you guys.
What a great collaboration.
I would love
And-
that.
And I would love, like, during part 2, you said it, like, action. Like, we love to give people action. Let's
Yes.
dive into conversation, and maybe we do like an activity or two, something that I do with my clients, and help people. They
Absolutely.
can share if they don't want to, but at home can sort of write down, okay, what are my fears? Where does this guilt come from? Or one of the other exercises that, I share of even just how to sit down and get started. I'd love to be able to do that as well. And I'll come back anytime you will have me. This has been wonderful. Your community is amazing. I appreciate the two of you more than I could probably put words to. And I hope, as I say, you know my heart. So.
Yes,
Thank you so
Nancy
much.
Deborah, as I called her back then. She told me my first what's name, but I always put it up in front of my face. I don't know what.
Gotta hide. You can put your eyes in it.
I put my eyes.
It's your
through my
mask.
heart,
Yeah, this is one of those good masks.
Oh, Nancy, this has been nothing more than what I already knew it was going to be. We thank everybody that came in the comments. Of course, we can't shout out all you guys' names because I'm afraid if I miss someone, then you'll be angry. Nah, just kidding. I don't want to miss anyone that has showed up, that has showed out. We thank you for tuning in the comments, and also collect with each other in the comments. If you guys don't already know each other, reach out to each other. That's what this is about. It's about the connection, finding your own voice. I know all of us are from the many comments on there. We have a lot to say. We have a lot to offer, and someone needs what you have. So share that. Find a way of sharing that through your social media activities. And we're going to do that part 2 because Nancy's going to come on back, and we're going to have positive vibes on. We're going to have voice your vibes on. We're going to get Brian Shulman on here, and we're going to show you how you really do it. If you haven't seen them or been to their show,
The energy is insane.
it's
if you guys
crazy.
have not
They
seen
pulled
that.
me out of COVID, guys. They pulled me out of COVID before it was shot. I had the COVID. I didn't even have a shot. They pulled me out of COVID.
There you go.
Guys, they
Yes,
bring
I would
the
be in my pajamas and have to be dressed because I was too alert to go to sleep. That's the craziness about that. The
Yeah,
energy that they
love.
just
It's off the
build.
chain, and it's
So if you have
genuine.
not seen it,
Thank you.
Wednesdays, Saturdays, make sure you join Nancy and Brian. Connect with them here on LinkedIn. Of course, if you are on Team Replay, there are a whole bunch of links for you to go through.
Check them out.
So
You'll
go
find us,
through
you'll find us.
those.
And if anyone wants to radiate real, it's simple. Take a picture of yourself. It started with in the morning, first thing in the morning, because that's when we're most vulnerable. But you know what? Who am I to tell you when you're radiating real? So take a picture. Talk about what was in that moment. Was it hard to take the picture and post it? What were you thinking about? Did you just get great news? Were you tired? Whatever it is. And then please #radiating real and tag us. We'll be there. The big thing people are afraid of is I'm going to put it out there and what's going to happen? No one's going to see it. I'm going to be looking and looking and looking, because I'm feeling vulnerable, but tag us and we'll be there. And so will the rest of the Radiating Real family, because I'll go ahead and tag some of them as well. And just please allow yourself that opportunity to really, truly experience unconditional love and unconditional acceptance.
Awesome.
Love that. Thank you so
guys
much
for
again,
showing up,
Nancy.
Thank you both, and thank you to everyone.
What a way to end the week, right? Love it, guys. Thank you
Yes.
guys so much.
See you guys later.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Real Talk with Carl and Charlene. Real talk for the real world. Let's get it. Real Talk with Carl and Charlene. Real talk for the real world. Let's get it.